touch all your seatbelts, touch all your connections, touch your Hans. Just make sure you get everything like you want it.
Alrighty, everyone. Sylvania Cup action live here tonight from Brands Hatch for the 4th race in the season. 150 miles equates to 60 laps here around Brands Hatch. And on the front row, you've got Nate Newman with his first ever pole position for TRD Motorsport, starting alongside the very strong and competitive Al Bunch, who's been putting on a good show. He's in the home for Jaguar, so giving Jaguar a good run here today always looks good when you're in the home area for the manufacturer. Then you got the LFG Motorsports teammates, both qualified 3rd and 4th, so Chadwick and What Army right behind them. Good road courser here, and Brian DeBlanc alongside Kellen Relic. Guido Piano, another strong road courser with Tyler Shangle alongside of him. Trevor Walker. It's a stacked field here, folks. It's pretty good at the front here. Tristan Reames hasn't been very strong anywhere else but road courses. He's starting about 11th here on track alongside Dalton Scott. Last race's winner, Atlee Weiss, starting about 14th or 15th there alongside Tyler Aspinall. Lynn Farrell and Tyler Landa, Jordan Walker and Andre Stefan. Then you've got Gavin Gray and Chris Harvey, Zach Armstrong and Bella Fawn, Matthew Fastnot and John Roman, Alan Taylor and Taden Berggren, Louis Trost and Nelson Chacon, Bob Leader and Ant Meeperson, Monty Shangle and Jack Ross, Justin Daytu and Chris Hergeson, Daniel Paulus Jr. and John Brinker, Cam Jordan and Liz Shangle, Kara Shangle and James Reddick, and at the very, very back, you've got Fireball Robert with Gavin Legend. So, we're going to get going here today for the Jaguar Motors 150.
Gentlemen, start your engines!
The first international race of 2024, as we've stayed pretty close to home. Brands Hatch always tends to put on an interesting strategy game for these guys. So it's going to be interesting to see what strategies pan out. This is actually a much shorter race than what we've hosted here in the years prior. So strategy is going to be huge in determining the winner here today. Green flag waving, and we're off and rolling. Al Bunch off to the early lead, taking it from Nate Newman there. Inside the line going into turn 1, coming through turn 2, and this track is a fun one. This is a tough turn here. They get so slow making this horseshoe turn, and then a very technical, kind of a speedier zone here as they come through a bit of an S in the track. Nate Newman might be fighting for second. Looks like Newman's gonna get alongside of What Army, but What Army with a little bit more speed and the preferred line there gets the position from him. Truly, we're gonna see some different faces that we haven't seen in the first 3 races running towards the front here. One in particular is that 37 of Guido Piano. Watch him. Might actually focus on him here. Even the 85 of DeBlanc. Look at, they are making some passes here. At a track that's hard to make passes, they're trying to prove it wrong. Guido Piano already up into the top 5 from lap 1, starting in 7th. DeBlanc settles into 6th. That drops Chadwick backwards about 4 spots. I believe he qualified 4th, and now he's dropped back to 8th. So a lot of movers, some comers and goers right now, even just on lap 1. Kellen Relic making a pass there on Nate Newman for 3rd. Guido Piano joining the party here. Safe to say that Jaguar is winning the manufacturer battle between our experimental manufacturers who are fighting to stay in the Sylvania Cup series. Especially right now as Jaguar sits 1 and 3 at their home track. It would actually be somewhat of a crime if a Jaguar didn't do well in the Jaguar Motors 150. But overall, this track, really a neat layout. One of the reasons I put it on our schedule is there's opportunities for movement on track here. A lot of road courses are usually tight and restricted. This one feels a little bit more wide and free. And it's been evident so far with these guys as there's movers coming from the back, working their way up to a better position each lap. However, though, Al Bunch is continuing to stretch that gap at the lead, as it's nearly about 2.5 second lead over you and What Army. Bunch's boss man, the 87 of Kellen Relic, right there in 3rd. But this alone is going to start to balance out that points battle that we've got and figuring out who is the most well-rounded. We're looking right now on track here, the 37 of Guido Piano. And if we look at where he sits in the point standings, a good finish here today could help him significantly climb up in the ranking. He hasn't had a terrible start, but he hasn't had a very stellar start to the season either. 1 DNF in the first 3 starts, no top 5s, no top 10s. And sits right now 22nd in points, almost identical to his teammate Bellafon, who's 21st in points. So it starts to, raise the fact if do we have enough road courses on the schedule to sway the championship battle in one way or another. My goal was to try and have at least a kind of a similar amount or an even amount distributed between short tracks, road courses, super speedways at one point. And it seems that we've got 8 road courses on the schedule between 4 different. So we're a little bit lighter on road courses here in 2024, whereas we used to have 11, 11, 11, and 11 across the board between short track, super speedway, intermediate, and road courses. The schedule downsized a little bit, went from 44 down to 40. And with that 40, 8 of which is a road course. So it's going to be important to, let these races speak for themselves. This might just be a blip on the radar for someone like Guido Piano. But it shows you that even on his best day, he could be a competitor in the championship battle. Nate Newman as well has had somewhat of a rough start to the season, but I do believe that Atlee Weiss brought him into the team for his ability on road courses just like this. And so far, running in the top 5, Nate Newman putting in a good start to this race already for the number 20 team. Bossman Atlee a couple spots back there. You can see a little bit further back in 12th, so not too bad. Our current points leader, Tyler Landa, of all people leading the points, he's right there in 13th. He's not won any races. Actually, I don't even think he's got more than 1 top 5, so he has just killed it with consistency. And showing right here how that's been done so far. Eventually wins are going to have to be more of a factor to win the championship, but early on, leading the points this season in his Cup season debut, not bad. Right behind that, you got Tyler Aspinall in the number 45 Ford Mustang there. Tristan Reames, 15th, still in the top 15, but he's got his work cut out for him so far. Some anticipated that the switch to Mercedes might have been a big boost in the road course department, as if he needed a bigger boost when it comes to road courses. But so far, 15th, perhaps he's going to try the strategy game later on in the race. Howdy y'all, thanks for hopping into the stream. Haven't missed much so far if you're tuning in. Since the green flag dropped, it's been Al Bunch at the front of the field leading. Hopefully Al Bunch can tune in here and check out how he's doing in this race. As I'm kind of skimming through the field here. And one of the guys I anticipated to have a decent run here, being a road course, was Louis Trost, and he's in 26th place. Jack Ross running in 29th. Monty Shangle having a rough go here. Liz Shangle, John Brinker. Kara Shangle, wow, 38th. Seems like this track might be a little bit of a struggle for the Shangle household. And Gavin Legend just trying to get some laps out here and avoid trouble. But the story still remains the same here as Al Bunch cruising out there. Kind of looks like he's on a Sunday stroll at this point. Could be a battle brewing here for second. Yeah, so I noticed Justin Day 2 hopped in. It seems like the struggles might be in the BMW camp. That 31, obviously Justin Day 2 was in a Jaguar last year, I believe. And Kellen Relic made some moves to get Al Bunch. Crazy part is if Justin Day 2 remained in his seat from last year, he'd be up front leading, running first or third based on how the Jaguars are looking. So unfortunately, stocks change, they ebb and they flow. But if this isn't any indication, Jaguar might eventually end up growing to a 4-car team next year. They'll probably end up inheriting what's left over of, say, a BMW or a Mercedes that's going to fold once this manufacturer's championship plays out. So just yeah, no, it's just a lot of pieces, a lot of moving parts. So it's crazy to think that someone in this team last year got moved to another team that's struggling. Crazy part is, let's look through the field again. Just the crazy thing that stays relevant is Guido Piano. No matter what changes happen, he went from a BMW to a Toyota. His inaugural season last year, he finished top 5 and currently sitting in the top 5 again. So something figured out, hopping from one manufacturer to the other. Chazzy Boy there in 6th, not terrible, just kind of chilling in the background there. I do feel like this could turn into a strategy race, so some of these drivers saving their stuff right now, waiting for the opportunity to gain advantage on pit stops. We've seen where Brian DeBlanc has been stellar at these road course races, and today seems to be no different, especially giving that Audi a good run. Audi's been struggling. I don't think there's an Audi in the top 30 in points other than possibly Brian DeBlanc. Jacob Shangle running in 8th. Tyler Shangle running in 9th. So you have half the Shangle brigade outside the top 30, and then you have these two running in the top 10. Dalton Scott, your 2010 champion of the Sylvania Cup Series, with a top 10 run so far. And then you got Trevor Walker in the Pepsi Ford Mustang. Atlee Weiss. Most of this kind of hasn't changed as we last scrolled through here. Andre Stefan right on the outside of the top 15. Now it's pretty safe to say that cautions don't happen here very frequently. So lot really does all depend on strategy calls. So 10 of 60 laps, we're 1/6 of the way through the race here today. Making good time so far. So we're looking roughly at about a 2-hour race here, which kind of the sweet spot. It's not going to be too freakishly long, but it still gives us enough time for all those strategies to unfold. But in the meantime, there's really not a whole lot to call on right here. I mean, we're watching pretty much follow the leader action. Not a lot of battles brewing. This could be a potential battle. If only NR2003 had a battle tracker that could give you notifications when there was a pass about to be made. Al Bunch's lead is substantially grown now to a 6.5 second lead. Kellen Relic wants to join up and try to catch his teammate in the 81. I'm actually surprised. I thought Jaguar might actually end up struggling here today a little bit. We haven't really seen their Achilles heel yet. Kind of makes you wonder what they've got under the hood. Only 2 Jaguars out there, but they have been hard to beat since the green flag dropped at Armory Digital Super Speedway just last month. But the crazier part about all of that is they don't have any wins to show for yet. So they might have speed. They usually have speed in the early running. But something often goes wrong or works against them, forcing them to settle for second or get sent home on a wrecker. So So let's do some research here and figure out when a potential pit stop might be on the horizon. Based on NR2003, they say fuel level 22 gallons can put you 40 laps into the race, so must only be about a 1 pit stop affair here today. We'll see for certain if that's accurate or not. Have not been able to confirm that those are very accurate. If it is true, that means that Al Bunch could potentially make to lap 30 and pit and be good to go the rest of the way. So in the Sylvania Cup Series, there is no stage racing. We run from green flag to checker. If there's no cautions, there's no cautions. This could very well be one of those races that go caution-free for the entirety of the race. Unless we have something, I could step in and throw a caution if we have someone blow up, put oil down, that the game doesn't typically throw caution for. And so far, still all 42 cars out there running. No one's really shown any signs of weakness. Al Bunch just out there with a faster car than the rest of them. Here we go, a little bit of racing action going on here between Lynn Farrell and Tristan Reames. Reames under attack for his 15th position. Lynn Farrell sits roughly towards the very, very back in the point standings. Failed to qualify for Daytona and has wrecked out or blown up in his other 2 starts. And has dead last secured right now. So today, he can turn that around and start fighting back from the bottom. Got to give a proper shout out to Tyler Aspinall. That this is a character building moment for him, getting some good laps run at a road course. Seeing some drivers that you don't normally see run at the front during these road course races. Still 14th, that means still got a ways to go to catch up to the lead crew, but sure as hell beats running 34th. Plus you got the series defending champion just there in front of him, so that's a good puzzle piece to base your line off of. Follow him and figure out the best way around this track. A little bit of unease here as you see 37 of Guido Piano. I think you're starting to see the tires wear off on these guys. They're trying to make some moves late in the run here. I'm definitely excited for Phoenix this week. Hopefully we get a good race on Sunday. Don't know if anyone else follows Supercross, but I'll definitely be watching Supercross tomorrow night too. You know it's a bit of a a snooze race when I have to start coming up with topics. Damn, Al Bunch truly laying a beat down right now. More importantly, I'm excited for warmer weather. I'm not a big fan of the winter time, so spring's right around the corner. Getting summer right there afterwards. It's gonna be That's at the points when I'm the most happiest, you know? It's warm weather, you got more stuff going outside, you got racing just about everywhere. That's what sucks about the winter time. Everything stops racing. No one goes to your local track. And I did miss the ARCA race, so I was gonna rewatch or watch it on re-air when I could. I got busy when I got home and missed it. But I did hear something must have happened. So they have to range shorten it? What happened? Ooh, I wonder if that's a bad sign for all the other racing activities in. Bummer. Well, I guess that's why I got more people tuned in watching right now, since the ARCA race got delayed, shortened, or postponed. So hopefully Al Bunch hops into the stream. I don't know. Every time that he has a good race, he seems to be MIA. I might have to ping him on the server to let him know that he's out there, has not put a wheel wrong yet. Huh, sounds like a monsoon. I know that Arizona gets monsoons, but I don't know if it is monsoon season right now, because it could be absolutely, you know, sunny, and then bam, a rainstorm blows through, and then back to being sunny just about 5 minutes later. I've actually physically witnessed and been there when that's happened. It's crazy. iRacing has rain now. I saw something. I think their big update, this last update patch that they had, actually allows for rain racing in iRacing, which of course iRacing is pretty broad and has sports car and other series that would run in the rain. I still don't think you can actually run rain ovals. Maybe. I might have to do some research on that. You might be able to goof around in test sessions while it's raining and test what the NASCAR Cup car can do in the rain at Talladega. Sounds like a nightmare. What's impressive is the fact that we don't even have a second driver even remotely close to Al Bunch. A lot of our races, we've at least seen two drivers within striking distance of a win, but tonight, Al Bunch just blowing this field up. Hey, I wouldn't count out the possibility that there could be a NASCAR racing revival maybe in 2025 if iRacing puts their money where their mouth is. They could sell that game like hotcakes. I've been dabbling in iRacing, and I just I don't get enough seat time to actually get good at racing. So I mostly just I'll follow racing streams on iRacing. A couple guys that I paint for, I'll tune into their races and watch how they do. But other than that, when I've actually attempted to race with the big dogs, it's so hard. At least for league racing, I could probably do weekly, kind of the weekly thing, and just have fun with it. That's kind of a interesting what if scenario too. What if, they didn't fold? Would the game be as moddable today? Would we even be able to run this, this track like we have it? Would they have kept it more guarded so that people couldn't actually manipulate the game's code? That in its own is the reason why NR has outlived so many console games, so many other iterations that NASCAR has greenlit and approved, is the fact that this game is very, very open based, allowing for people to create different car models, to create tracks. Hell, even I guess like aftermarket programs to allow for double file restarts and stage racing. Tally up all your points and record it on a neat little HTML document. So plus, if without NR2003, there wouldn't have been an iRacing. And think about how many drivers actually utilize iRacing to train and practice. That in its own could be a good or a bad thing, because if you think about it, if they train up too much, then there's no mistakes. It kind of takes an inkling of the appeal out of racing when people are so precision, so perfect out there on track that they don't make mistakes. Um, think about it. I think the truck series could benefit from half of their entire lineup, just practicing iRacing the week before every race and whatnot. Those Craftsman truck races have been chaotic and kind of crash filled. Yeah, I think probably Dale Jr. was one of the few that claimed that he would play NR 2003 when it was very popular back in the day. And Dale Jr. too is a huge resource for iRacing with his his know-how and his resources that he can get people and go out there and laser print tracks and whatnot. So gonna be different this year in NBC without Dale Jr. Sounds like he signed a deal with Amazon Prime though for when NASCAR switches over to the streaming world. I want to say that's how Dale Jr. met Brad Keselowski. I think there was a story about that, if I'm not mistaken. But that was how Brad Keselowski got his foot in the door to get into NASCAR, was racing online with Dale Jr. Dale Jr. recruited him and brought him to race for Junior Motorsports in the what would have been then, I think, Xfinity or the what was it? Was it the Nationwide? There we go, the Nationwide series. Had to go through the alphabet there. Back when it was the Nationwide and he drove the number 88 Army car, which I always liked that car. It looked pretty neat. I guess the rest is history. As you can see, Brad Keselowski, a team owner of his own, probably fixing to retire in another year or two and kind of fit himself into that, team owner mode that Dale Jr., obviously got him into his ride. So who knows, maybe Brad Keselowski will get online and recruit the next talent to fill his seat. Maybe it'd be Al Bunch. If he ended up racing online with Al Bunch, he would get his ass whooped. Look at this. Almost halfway through the race, and he's got a 14-second lead. Now over Kellen Relic. We did miss a little bit of passing going on. Kellen Relic up to second. Guido Piano up to third. That drops Ewan What Army back to fourth. Chaz Chadwick gains a spot, gets himself up into the top 5. Nate Newman drops to 6th. Brian DeBlank still holding serve in 7th with Jacob Shangle right behind him. Tyler Shangle and Dalton Scott. So the only changes really was Kellen Relic and Guido Piano moving to the front. Nate Newman dropping backwards. I guess I'd have to double check now that you mention it, see what you're talking about. Oh, there's starting to brew a battle here with Nate Newman and Chaz Chadwick. Nate Newman from the pole seems like on a long run here struggling a little bit. Kellen Relic could be under attack too, up further there by the 37 of Guido Piano. And there we have it. Pit stops happening here on lap 26. And I don't know if people are short stopping to make it on one stop here, or if we might truly not have enough fuel to make it all the way to the finish. Oh, now we got a caution as they're pitting. This could really shake things up. Got to figure out who the caution is for. This throws a curveball, and this is what we've been making statement on, is the fact that Jaguars might look strong, but something always, a wrench gets thrown into the plans when they're having such a strong, dominant performance. It might not work out too terribly bad here, as Al Bunch will still pretty much keep his lead. Is there a, oh, the 09 of Fastnot with a mechanical failure. And he dies out on track as everyone's pitting. Can't seem, oh, had a tire failure on the 09. And once he stopped on track, that's when the caution waved. So there we have our first caution today. And it was for Matthew Fastnot in number 09. Half the field pitted, half the field didn't. So it's going to shake up who's running where. Wow, Jacob Shangle inherits the lead here under caution. Second place, Tyler Shangle, as they have yet to pit. They're going to be able to pit under caution, and Lynn Farrell third. Tristan Reames fourth. Al Bunch falls back to fifth, but he has fresh tires, fresh fuel. He can stay out while the rest in front of him will have to pit under this caution. So Tyler Landa in sixth. Chris Harvey up to seventh. Some of these guys might actually get to flip this in a favorable outcome. I think Harvey might be able to gain a lot of spots even with the pit stop. He ain't going to lose terrible amount of positions with the pit stop. Lewis Trost up to 11th. Zach Armstrong 12th. Chaz Chadwick slots himself back into 14th. What Army in 16th. DeBlank 17th. So this will be all the people that pitted now as we're getting towards the back. I don't know if Tayden actually pitted, nor I don't think Alan Taylor did, but Nate Newman obviously did. Trevor Walker pitted. And the rest of these guys might have stayed out and inherited some spots that they otherwise were behind. Matthew Fastnot rejoins the race, although one lap down now in 42nd. Oofy, Tyler Aspinall must have pitted because he was running 15th, and that dropped him all the way back to 33rd. So he's going to hopscotch over everyone when they do happen to pit under caution here. Hopefully no one runs out of gas pushing it this far. Oofty, Atlee all the way back to 40th. That's brutal. Did someone here actually run out of gas? Did Day 2 Or Roberts perhaps run out of gas? If that's the case, then we truly can't make it 30 laps, and this might actually be everyone pitting. And that gets to be a crazy scenario that everyone's gonna pit, and all the guys that'll be able to inherit track position due to this. We might have to extend the caution by another lap here to get this sorted. I don't know if they can coast all the way around to... That should give Atlee at least a chance. Oh, as soon as Atlee got around them, now they're all good. So I think it was sorting out the running order that was having trouble there. Either way, we added a pace lap so that no one gets trapped too far behind. And pit stops did happen there. The 64 drops back. Everyone that had pitted re-inherit their positions at the front. So currently Al Bunch, and I think we need to send that 81 to the EOL. The longest line, number 89. That way we don't have to do it later. Second place, Kellen Relic. Shit, it didn't actually add an extra pace lap. I added it, but it didn't record it. As you see, the lights are off on the pace car. Everyone was trying to get around the 89, but no time to do so. We're gonna get going back on lap 30 here. Hopefully Atlee was able to catch up to the back. I tried to give him an opportunity here. Ooh, Andre Stefan might be having some trouble. 62 might be having some trouble. This was an ill-fated caution for some of them. Pace car is going to pull off here, and it's going to be Kellen Relic and Al Bunch leading them to the green. Double file restarts, this is often a recipe for disaster as well. We could see the 09 of Fastnaughts in with the lead crew. So there's a lot of lap cars that could really mess this whole thing up right here. Look at the 89, just a sitting roadblock is going to hold up Ewan What Army as the entire field charges in around the inside of What Army. Gavin Legend. Wrong place at the wrong time. What Army dropping like a rock here. And this is where mechanical failures will start to rear their ugly heads. Tyler Aspinall cruises himself up into the top 10 here. Kellen Relic takes the lead away from Al Bunch. Now we've got teammate rivalry brewing as the 87 and 81 duke it out. Kellen Relic already has a win on the season and doesn't seem like he wants to give any space for his teammate to get their first win on the season. Nate Newman still running up strong here in the top 10. Brian DeBlank now up into the top 5, right there behind Chaz Chadwick. Well, the 09 having to pull down after having had a tire failure, now making another trip down pit road. Shoot, Aspinall up into the top 10, up to 7th. So impressive run here for Tyler Aspinall. Gonna go on a drone shot here through the racetrack that is Brands Hatch. Kind of gives you a different feel for the track, actually seeing all the elevation, the blind turns. Right, like NASCAR 06 Total Team Control. That would be cool. It was fun when you would actually have rivalries that would actually create themselves. You might go out there and wreck Carl Edwards, and then the next couple weeks Carl Edwards would make sure that you couldn't win a race. He would wreck you any chance he got. The current setup of NR just gives us pure racing with, unfortunately, not all the bells and whistles. But yeah, I agree. It would be cool to have different features. If only the game coding was, you know, the AI is pretty darn smart in NR2003, and I would say that even by current standards, NR2003's AI far exceeds what iRacing has put together. I'm amazed that iRacing didn't pull from NR2003 to make their AI system, because it's kind of shoddy. I've tried racing with the AI and I'm like eons faster than the rest of them, so iRacing still has a little bit of work to do on polishing that AI system that they've got. Crazy. I'm surprised that we're actually seeing Kellen Relic run so strong. Al Bunch had nearly a 20-second lead on the rest of the field, and we've got more of a battle brewing with the teammates now than we had at the beginning of the race. Lap traffic's going to become a factor here. So that could really spoil the fun at the front of the field as you watch Kellen Relic go up the hill, come down the hill now, and Monty Shangle right there in the distance. 40th, 39th, 38th, 37, 36. More takers down pit road. This the second half has been a little bit more intriguing. Wow, a lot of hustle and bustle here as Atlee Weiss is trying to make some hay and get back to where he once was running. Only in NR2003 is there a drone cam. '89, wow, so the 89 is still holding people up, it looks like. Liz Shangle gonna try to get around him. Chris Harvey running mid-pack in 21st. So we've hit the halfway point just a couple laps ago. Now is time for us to do our brief pause for saving of the replay. Race 4 tonight of 40, part 1. That way, if the game crashes, we have an official running order at halfway. If there were drones back in 2003, they were very archaic. They probably were the size of a freaking watermelon or something. And they might not even call them drones. They might have been something like classified. Might have been, you know, might have been something classified. You never know, I guess. When was the patent for the drone? Let's Google that. In 2015, the U.S. Patents Office published a patent filed by Amazon in 2013. Amazon? Jeff Bezos unveiled his idea to deliver packages to customers via drone. Many were quick to ask how such a bold proposition could ever really work in practice. Over 3 years later, the Prime Air program remains in development, and while the company has released a number of videos describing the drone delivery system in general terms, conducting a handful. At this point, though, I don't know if that means that they established the drone. Drone-based car. Future drone device. Huh. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not finding anything concrete other than the fact that Amazon wanted to file for their first ever delivery drone. Do have a bit of a battle brewing here with the two Jaguar teammates. Yep, I think it's safe to say that there wasn't any drones really conceived back in 2003. It was more of a late 2000, well, like 2010s, 2015s kind of era that they... Oh, thank you. I should have been reading the chat log this whole time. And I was onto something. I didn't even read the chat log, and I was already predicting or assuming that it had been classified technologies that was unreleased to the public at some point. I've seen a couple iRacing streams where they actually go the full mile and have little jingles and a commercial. It's usually the same 2 or 3 commercials that play each time, and it's actual paying partners that they work with. But if I could come up with my own custom jingle, that's a lot of work. I mean, you gotta start thinking deep to make a catchy jingle that everyone can get behind. I do like the fact that I can make this happen at the press of a button right now, as you're seeing on your screen. You can put the ads up whenever. I could walk away, go to the bathroom, come back, and then, oh, look at me, I got the game going again. As my YouTube is crashing on my phone, oddly. You go to commercial and it's still going to be Al Bunch leading. Well, actually, Kelton Relic leading. But right now we do have some excitement starting to formulate here. Lap traffic's going to make this a lot harder for Kelton Relic to hold that lead. Really is a tale of two halves for this race. We'll see if these guys saved enough fuel under caution at the slower pace. Shoot, my YouTube pulled a huge crash. That was weird. Now I can see comments again. There we go. Yeah, I'm assuming we'll probably see pits 26 to 48. So 26, 12, 52, 51. Like you said, lap 51 or 52. That caution did help. I think they're going to probably be able to push it to probably lap 56. But it's still pushing it. But like I mentioned too, I don't know if they underpitted, because we don't know if they underpitted early to get advantage of fresher tires sooner. Maybe they could have pushed it to lap 40, but they only went to lap 26. Because if they can go 40 laps, they could still make it to the finish after pitting on lap 26. So it's NR pulling some big brain moves if it did that, though. I don't know if don't know if NR would be that intelligent, but never know. If anything's for certain, those that stayed out that extra lap longer and ran under caution is going to have more fuel in the tank. You might see Kellen Relic, Al Bunch pull down pit road with about 3 laps to go. Guido Piano, Chaz Chadwick, Brian DeBlanc, Nate Newman. Tyler Aspinall is right now your highest running driver. Actually, he pitted too because he dropped all the way back. My bad. Keep going here. I think Dalton Scott pitted with them. Trevor Walker. And Jacob Shangle, who had inherited that lead without pitting, could have the most gas in the tank by the end of this one. What Army settled into 10th here for now, chasing Trevor Walker. This is a pretty good run for Trevor Walker. He hasn't been able to prove himself yet here in the Cup Series, but we all know how successful he's been throughout the trucks, and even his teams and assets within Bridge to Cup. Trevor Walker finally making his full season of Cup racing here in 2024. And road courses are one of his go-to tracks. I'm sure he had this one circled on his calendar. Top 10 as they run. Still plenty of racing to go. 20 laps left in this one. DeBlanc, Chadwick, Piano. Ant Me Person has fallen a lap down. So far, Al Bunch has not been able to execute with the lap traffic in his favor here. kind of makes you wonder, having that clean air at the front, how big of a difference it makes, because Kellen Relic, since earning that lead, has not looked back. But I don't think he's got near the speed that Al Bunch does, because Al Bunch was putting down some bullet laps here today. If you're just now tuning in, we're down to 19 laps to go. Jaguars have dominated the Jaguar Motor 150 here at Brands Hatch. First half of the race dominated by Al Bunch, and so far the second half dominated by his team owner, Kellen Relic, there in the 87 NOS Energy Drink Jaguar. They've caught up to lap traffic, and so far they're making pretty good work moving through the field. Only one caution here today, which belonged to the 09 having a flat tire, stalling on track. Strategies kind of got shifted there, and as we see here, we don't know for certain if these guys can make it to the finish without another pit stop. Who was our points leader rolling into the race today was Tyler Landa in the number 7 Toyota for Shangle Toyota Racing. And we'll see right about where Tyler Landa has shaken out. Atlee Weiss still trying to pick off spots, making his way through the field the hard way. Tyler Landa has had some top 10s, top 15s start off the season, and today might not be any different. Another top 15 run going, 15th for the rookie. This is only his first season of racing, and getting the points lead after 3 races is a pretty good deal for him. Rookie leading the points at any time of the year is always something to keep an eye on. You know, it's obviously not with wins, not with top 5s, and very minimal top 10s for him in those first 3 races. But he's figured out a way to stay out of trouble and just learn the ropes here, working with some of the veterans of the sport, putting together a good run. Crazy to think that we're already into March. Upgrades on our server do go on pause once we hit April 1st. So, and I know I've been slacking, but it's just been busy for me. Those that don't upgrade come April 1st, I was gonna go ahead and empty the banks. Maybe I'll ask or verify from each person before doing so that everyone can go into the second, well, not even the second half. We're not even 10% through the season, and upgrades are about to close here in just a couple weeks time, so you'll end up having what you've got. But that's mostly by plan. I don't want someone to just keep upgrading their stuff all season long. Then we'll have everyone at 100 min-max, and that doesn't make for a very exciting competition when everyone's got the best of the best. So there is an ulterior motive to it all, keeping it kind of exclusive to the first quarter of the year. And we've already seen where it kind of comes in handy when you do these upgrades. You're also-rans turn into contenders. We see different people that do better when upgrades hit just right. So man, Kellen Relic and Al Bunch just slicing and dicing their way through the field here. Down to 16 laps to go here at Brands Hatch. I wonder if we check the in-car cam if it'll actually give us an idea on fuel mileage. I doubt it. Well, it shows a ticker there. I wonder if we go back to like lap 30 if that's different. No, sadly, we don't know what the fuel mileage is because it's not an interactive ticker. It's a set ticker on the driver board there. Well, we got pit stops here on lap 44. I don't know if that's unscheduled. This seems really early. We saw the first round on lap 26. And holy cow, your 2 leaders already conceding to pit road here. Wow, whole bunch of people. And perhaps this is one of those where they know they can make it to the finish and undercut, but we've already seen this flop once where they pit and then we get a caution and shakes it all up. So who earns the lead from this is the question. Currently Nate Newman. Looking at Nate Newman leading the laps here right now with 15 laps to go. Ever so unpredictable, this game always keeps throwing us curveballs. Second and third is Ewan Wood Army and Jacob Shangle. And we're looking at the crew that can push it a little bit longer. This may not be the move to make, as the sooner you get down pit road, the sooner you can get out there with fresh stuff. Yep, Nate Newman pitting this time by. As well as Wood Army. But Jacob Shangle and Tyler Shangle, the brothers, J and T, leading. They were the ones out there when the caution fell last time. They're pushing it just that much further than everyone on fuel mileage here. This alone, though, is kind of a moot point because with such a long run left to go, with 14 laps left in the race, this doesn't really settle them into a scenario where they could win the race unless something crazy happens, but I don't anticipate anything crazy happening here either. A caution won't necessarily save them either, so the Shangle Bros is going to lead. We'll see if they can stretch it any longer. If they can stretch it to 10 laps to go and then come in just for a quick gas, don't even worry about tires. It's getting risky at that point because the tires, we already know. We've seen a failure here today with a flat. You don't want to push it too far on your tires and end up ruining your race completely. Shangle Bros coming down pit road this time 1, 2, and 3 with Lynn Farrell. And we'll keep our target on these three as the rest of the track's going to come around to join them. Maybe 2 tires. I don't know if you want to take 4. It's a risky, it's almost, yeah, that's a losing move on their part. I don't think they're going to be able to catch the leaders. Wow! Al Bunch gets passed up by a couple more people. Tyler Aspinall on a tear. So out of nowhere, Tyler Aspinall, and if only I had the graphic where you could show the pit time earned on pit road versus pit stop and all that stuff. So you can see Aspinall leaves the track, and he just has a heater of a lap here as he gets by Guido Piano on fresh tires. It looks like he's on Goodyear. He's on some Superman Goodyears. And closes the gap for Al Bunch and makes the pass. So Tyler Aspinall, something in his Kool-Aid, giving him some extra powers here late in this one. We'll see if he can hold on, but lap traffic still likely going to be a factor in determining this one. Kellen Relic will re-inherit the lead here. New second place driver, Tyler Aspinall. Al Bunch scratching his head here, trying to figure out what went wrong today. After leading so many laps, it's going to be one of those stories, kind of like a, man, I've seen this scenario before. I just can't remember which driver. Always bridesmaid, never the bride. Always finished runner-up, couldn't get the win. Al Bunch might add another chapter to that story between all the drivers that have finished runner-up so many times. Michael Waltrip. Michael Waltrip in his own, great driver, excellent personality, but just snake bitten for so many years to get that first win. And Al Bunch, boy, hopefully he doesn't grow his winless streak to the sizes of a Michael Waltrip, but eventually it's just a matter of time before when. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when he'll get it. So keep his head held high. Great finish here today regardless of the outcome. Top run, always good for points, good for the championship battle. Even though his boss man leads the way. Yeah, Casey Kane. I think we had one in recent years. Kevin Harvick, just in his final year, just failed to get that win. One more final win for Harvick there in his retirement campaign. Aspinall, it could likely associate with Al Bunch in this, is Aspinall's had so many opportunities to get that first win. And what we're witnessing here, great run from Aspinall. This is probably the highlight surprise of the race. I didn't even closely, I didn't imagine that Tyler Aspinall would have such a great run here at Brands Hatch. So 4th place belongs to Dalton Scott. 5th place, Chaz Chadwick. 6th place, Guido Piano. 7th place, Brian DeBlanc. 8th place, Tristan Reames. So Reames going to keep the road course magic alive here, at least with the top 10. Nate Newman in 9th. Trevor Walker in 10th. 11th of Lynn Farrell. 12th, Tyler Landa. Holy cow. He's going to lose that points lead, but still fighting, staying in the mix here with some of the best. Zach Armstrong running 13th. Ewan What Army 14th. Gavin Gray And here we had our last round of pit stops with Jacob Schengle now dropping all the way back to 16th. Like I said, it was not the move they wanted to make, but it was the move that they had to make, so they didn't run it completely empty. Ten laps remain here, and apart from only seeing 2 leaders here today, well, apart from the pit strategy lead change, it's been an exciting race here. Brands Hatch often a little bit more on the relaxed side, not a whole lot of crazy shenanigans that go down here. Just good hard racing from everyone out there. As you look the back bumpers, this obviously is the last year, as it'll be branded under the Sylvania Cup series. And if you haven't been following the server, or if you're new and watching for the first time tonight, we've evolved to the Sigma Racing Series. So it'll be the Sigma Cup Series, the Speedster Interglobal Motorsports Association Cup Series for 2025. And that falls in line with our 15th anniversary, as I've kept this series alive since 2010. We've had 15 different champions in 15 years, which is an impressive stat. It's crazy. And hopefully we can keep that stat alive, keeping a different champion every year. It's become a lot easier since a lot of our past champions have since been dropped from the series. Likes of Jimmy Johnson, Scott Dixon, Brad Keselowski, Alexander Rossi. I pulled them out to make this more appealing to a broader audience and get more people into the series. So now we're truly into a new universe. Whole bunch of drivers that I've put together, assembled on our Discord channel to make this series something special. And I'm wondering if Tyler Aspinall is even going to have anything for Kellen Relic here. Let's see what the laps look like at the line as Kellen Relic crosses with a 132.6. Aspinall with a 132.9, so a lot of work still to be done here if he wants to catch that 87. Impressive run from Dalton Scott in that Audi. Apart from the Jaguars, we got Jaguar, Ford, Audi, Honda, Toyota, Mercedes, Dodge, and that's just in the top 15, so most of our manufacturers all represented throughout the top 15. Even most of our experimental group that are fighting to stay within the series for next year. Here we go, Al Bunch making a move here. Aspinall must have used his tires up, as Al Bunch wants to have one more shot at it here today. Yeah, the lack of Chevys. No, I don't know. I might be slightly biased because I'm a Ford guy, but by no means intentionally sabotaged the Chevy camp. It might seem like that, especially now that I came out as saying I'm a Ford person, and oh, Ford must beat the Chevy. No, it's just purely coincidental, because the trucks, even, you know, it blew my mind, and I didn't want to touch anything. I left everything alone, and at that point I was like, now we need to see if Chevy can truly take themselves out of mediocrity land in our Sigma universe. And finally they ended up breaking the win category, but I don't think they've won since. We've only seen one Chevy win since the trucks were conceived in 2022. And there's been roughly, at this point, probably 60 plus races running the USA trucks, and only one time that the victory went to a Chevy. It's absurd. It's crazy. Then in the Sylvania Cup here, we've had years where Chevy just is the cream of the crop. They're impossible to beat. We've seen it a few years where Chevy wins the most races, wins the overall manufacturer title, and there's nothing else that anyone could do. And parity is one of those things that keeps this NASR, you know, NR2003 series exciting, because like this year we've got Jaguar that have finally got all the pieces in the right place and have figured out how to be fast, how to be consistent, and put together a strong campaign like this here at Brands Hatch. Gotta imagine though, this Jaguar is going to be highly scrutinized if they continue to put down killer races like this. Teams are going to catch on to it. The officials are going to catch on to it. That's about all I can say about that. Every other team out there that can't get up front and run with these guys are going to find every way to throw Jaguar under the bus. So we're down to 5 laps to go here. Kellen Relic leads Al Bunch and Tyler Aspinall. The lead is at a steady 3-second deficit. And if we compare lap times, a 132.8 to a 133.2 for Kellen Relic. Al Bunch trying to close that gap. Al has a very valid opportunity here to get the job done. Go ahead and watch from the drone cam to see how he makes up this time, maybe. And thanks again, everyone, for tuning in. I saw it, the peak performance of the stream. We had about 8 people, which is superb for a cup race. I've never had that many people tuned into a cup race before. I'm trying everything I can to make these a little bit shorter, a little bit more digestible for the average view. And so some of the races obviously still in the endurance category, where we're going to have 500, 600 mile events here in the Cup Series. Today's race, I think, went perfect. We had at least some pit stops to shake things up, and had a caution. We're going to keep it right at about the 2-hour mark. We're well under the 2-hour mark, actually, as we're only 1 hour 35 minutes into it. So right, yeah, the rock race, which I've already mentioned, I could potentially switch the venue around last minute. I'm going to have to do some practicing, training, or simming just to figure out which tracks race the best. I want a road course, preferably, that gives us awesome camera angles to give us the best view of the rock and roll paint schemes for that Rock Hall of Fame race later in the year. Do you mean well, I think we'll have to find a guest announcer, as last year's guest announcer is MIA for various reasons, obviously. Part of the reason the Courting brothers got sent to jail and serving a hard time in prison for all the things they did. Crazy that that was our truck champion, and now they have been outlawed from the series, and it's just a whole different universe. Yeah, I was just making a joke. We might have a battle brewing here with the lead. Al Bunch has closed that gap significantly. He's cut about half a second off in 2 laps. Almost actually a full second, especially now that Kellen's caught up to the roadblock, the 89 of Gavin Legend. Oh yes, yeah, there was a dispute there that included Tim Courting calling Chadwick. Yeah, no. Yep, we'll go with that one, that's for sure. And if you're the average viewer that don't know what's being talked about, it's probably for the best. We've managed to make the best of a bad situation. So, defending truck champions, Tim and Tom Courting, out of the series, and that leaves that truck championship wide open for a brand new truck champion. Guido Piano is racing full time, so we could have a repeat champion in the trucks. So Guido Piano racing for TRD Motorsports. Al Bunch cut another half second out of the lead. Kellen Relic better be playing it safe here. In 3 laps time, Al Bunch is making the most of this late race charge here. And the more lap traffic that gets in the way, the better this will be for Al Bunch to try and execute. Man, look at the closing radius now. He is right there. He's going to be able to smell the lead. We're going to be seeing here how well he gets by the 42 of Fireball Robert. If he can get by James Robert here without any hesitation, this could be a battle for the lead. Game on. He's going to have to pull it off on the front straight here. Not in time to make the pass there. This is the best move he could have made, making it into the kink stop here. 1.25, so deficit has shrunk to roughly about a second now. That hurt him a little bit when he got side by side with lap traffic. Kellen's starting to grow that gap again. We're down to only 2 laps to go now, so Al's gonna have a lot of ground to make up here in short order. And it's going to have to be one of those last lap passes for the miracle, a Hail Melon of sorts to make the win happen. It's just a shame that Al had waited this long to kick on the afterburners, that Kellen Relic had put together such a good run here. Seems that Al's car comes to him a little bit later in the run. That horseshoe turn's going to be where all the marbles can be gained or lost. Right here, that deficit stayed a relative loss, actually, down to 1.36. So if he can make a good gap closing here into the horseshoe turn, he's going to be right there in the bubble. No lap traffic to screw him up on this lap. That's going to be a bummer if Al Bunch finishes runner-up again. Very, very great race through and through to pull off a top 3 finish. Basically a dominant performance from Jaguar. Both these guys deserve an award at the end of the day. Ooh, this is about as tight as it's going to get, as they're going to be coming to the checkered flag this time. Al Bunch only has a couple turns left to make something happen, and I don't anticipate a dive bomb taking out the boss man to win it. Kellen Relic just needs to cruise across the start-finish line, and there we have it. 2 wins on the season for Kellen Relic, being a relative unknown in the last couple years in the win department. Has now got his first multi-win season in a long time. I think we'd have to go back past 4 years ago, maybe even 6 or more years ago, to find the last time that Kellen Relic had a multi-win season. Jaguar 1-2 and the Jaguar Motors 150. Tyler Aspinall with a 3rd place finish. Huge finish for him. 4th place Dalton Scott. 5th place Chazzy Boy Chadwick. Guido Piano 6th. Brian DeBlanc 7th. Tristan Reames 8th. Nate Newman from the pole falls back to 9th. But Trevor Walker with a solid top 10. Lynn Farrell 11th. Jacob Shangle gets back up to 12th. Tyler Landa 13th. Ewan Wood Army 14th. And Tyler Shangle 15th. Zach Armstrong, solid 16th place finish for him. Louis Trost rebounds to a 17th in the in-and-out Chevy Camaro. Gavin Gray. Jack Ross with a 20th. Chris Harvey 21st. Bella Fawn 19th. Atlee Weiss goes from winning the last race to 22nd here today. See, these could be the sophomore slumps of sorts that we might see from the rookie winning the championship. It's kind of an anomaly that Atlee was so strong last year that he basically had the championship tied up on its own with a whole race early. The only reason we still had a battle was the fact that Ewan Wood Army would have needed him to DNF, finish dead last to win the championship, which could have happened at any turn there at Indy. And obviously, Wood Army led and tried to win the race. It just didn't come his way, as Atlee came by and won the race to win that championship last year. Now that we see the end of the race, there's drivers that have run out of gas on track here. That's to be expected on these road courses, as these tracks, so long as they are, tend to strand people out there after the race concludes. But holy cow, Kellen Relic, 2 wins on the early season, wins the season opener, then comes out and wins race number 4 here today at Brands Hatch. 4 races, were 1/10 of the way through the season. Still very, very early in the 2024 campaign. Starting to see some trends develop. I like what I'm seeing from Tyler Landa, putting together solid finishes. He might not be a winning contender, but he's going to make things interesting. Yeah, no, it's crazy that Atlee and What Army having a bit of a slump this year. I mean, What Army still came home with a top 15 finish, which is impressive, especially on a road course that may not be in his wheelhouse. It's going to get interesting once we hit the next couple tracks on the calendar. After tonight, obviously, we hit Atlanta, and this should be, I'm pretty sure we're going to go with the old style Atlanta racing and not the super speedway Atlanta. So I've got an Atlanta track that's perfect. I don't want to stray too far from it. And then after Atlanta, we go to Watkins Glen. So another road course race could put a little bit of a wrinkle in things. But Kellen Relic has shown that he can go from super speedway to road course and win it all. And we still haven't seen his new paint scheme for 2024. We keep seeing him in his last year's paint scheme, winning all these races. So that was a good race, quick one. We were able to get through it within 2 hours. That'll wrap up this week of streaming, as we'll be hitting trucks on Tuesday again. Bridge to Cup Wednesday, and then the Cup race again, as always, following the next day on Friday. Thanks again, everyone. Glad you could tune in. Brands Hatch never disappoints. We always get a good race here with no shenanigans, just pure racing and strategy involved. Hopefully, all have a good night, have a good weekend. Stay safe out there, and enjoy the NASCAR races on Saturday and Sunday. We hope to see you in the next stream. As for now, this is Jake